Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Crypto Hipster Podcast. This is your host, Jamil Hassan, the Crypto Hipster, where I interview founders, entrepreneurs, executives, thought leaders, amazing people all around the world of crypto and blockchain. And today I have another amazing guest. Actually, I should have interviewed this company a long time ago, and I'm very happy to present them today. My guest his name is Deep Shah. He is previously a member of the founding team at Gnosis Pay and Circles, and currently leading the Gnosis app and its development. Deep, welcome to the show.
Jamil, it's awesome to be here. Thank you so much, and super excited for this conversation.
You're very welcome, very welcome. So let's kick things off and ask you first, what is your background, and is it a logical background for what you're doing now?
I like the second question. I'll start with the first, though. Well, my background is I'm leading the Gnosis app. As you know it, we're trying to build a more rewarding money app, quite simply. And when I say rewarding, it means rewarding in every sense of the word, financially, in terms of freedom or more agency, essentially trying to leverage all of our strengths and experience of being like OG blockchain builders and kind of designing all of that into a simple, user-friendly consumer interface. Right? So that's what I'm doing right now. I've been with Gnosis for about a couple of years. Like you mentioned, I've been part of the core teams at Gnosis Pay. We're one of the world's first kind of self-custodial debit card programs. Did the whole 0 to 1 there. It's part of Circles. It's this, let's say, an ambitious experiment on money. I'll share about it more later. I've been in the space for about 4 years, always been around startups and entrepreneurship. I did my first startup when I was 17. It was a travel company, very different from what I'm doing now. Which kind of leads me on to your second question. Was my background ever relevant? Man, I'm a civil engineer by training. And then I've studied business from the London Business School. But yeah, nothing about blockchain. I mean, my foray into blockchain was kind of something more entrepreneurial. I kind of was part of the founding team of the Blockchain Society at the London Business School. I wanted to meet like-minded people there. I didn't find any. There was no forum for it, so I just thought, let's create it. So yeah, that was my foray into kind of blockchain and everything that ensued after.
Very cool. Very cool. So I want to ask you, what Gnosis Pay and Gnosis app are all about, including your outlook on the potential in the payments space right
now. Let's talk about the outlook on the payment space. I've done a lot of I've spent a lot of time building things, but also done a lot of research in this space. I'm extremely bullish on the space. I personally think people don't realize how massive an impact blockchain is going to have in the financial world. A lot of people look at blockchain with very tainted eyes. In my opinion, I feel like after speculation, payments is the next biggest proven use case of blockchain, right? And I think we're just at the start of it. We see a lot of institutions wanting to learn more about this. I know people spoke about this maybe in 2017 also. You're like these big institutions trying to do some blockchain projects, right? In 2021 or like whenever, right? I truly feel this time we're at the cusp of things where like things are actually going to show in substance. Infrastructure has matured. Regulation is a lot more mature than what it was in the past. We have the biggest nation in the world in terms of economic nation in the world adopting crypto and its treasury. We have so many more things happening across the world that make me super excited.
So I want to find out some of those things. So I want to talk about your roadmap with the milestones, and I understand you have some ecosystem updates recent. So I want to find out. About the alpha.
Absolutely. For those who know Gnosis, we've been in the space for about 10-ish years. We just had our 10-year anniversary very recently. We've been known to be like infrastructure builders. We built products like Safe, which is kind of the leading smart contract platform in blockchain. They help secure over $60 billion in assets right now. Pretty much all multi-sigs are safe. We built CowSwap in I think 2018 or 19, one of the first MEV resistant DEXs, way before MEV became popular in 2021, 2022. They've, I think, traded over $100 billion in assets. It's kind of the leading DEX on Ethereum. We built Gnosis Pay, which is one of the first card programs. Like neobanks and cards are all the hype these days. We've crossed 100 million in payment volume a few weeks back. And now, we've done all this cool infrastructure stuff. Now we want to bring it to the hands of users. We're moving to a more consumer-oriented kind of focus as a company as a whole, right? And what our vision is to kind of bring or make or like create an open and collectively owned financial system. And the collectively owned part is extremely important, right? We want people to be owners in the app they use. We all know businesses care most about shareholders, not necessarily users. And we think that is critical, right, in addressing that problem, because after a point, users and businesses' interests don't necessarily align, right? So we want to ensure that all the projects that we're building, kind of come together and aligned with ownership through the GNO token. And yeah, we want to build cool consumer experiences without forgetting who we truly are, without forgetting our cypherpunk kind of ideologies, our cypherpunk like birthplace, essentially. We see a lot of, institutions or companies or institutions trying to be dressed in like this crypto clothing or use all these fancy jargon, but not really kind of upholding the ideals of why we started in the first place. They want to say stable coins, they want to say blockchains, they want to use all these terms and kind of just use them as a back-end upgrade, but that's not how we see it. We see this as a fundamental shift in how users interact with money. And very much we want to be at the forefront and leading in the right way, in the way it was supposed to be.
Yep. I sounds good to me. Really good. So I did want to get into your Visa Pay and all in the card usage, but you said a couple things that I want to dive down first.
Yeah.
You said collectively owned. Now, I'll say this. I've said it many times in many podcasts. I was a Celsius customer, right? I thought that putting on that platform, we were collectively owned. I thought you had opportunity. I thought it was a wallet. I was wrong. It was Mashinsky owned, and so my definition of collectively owned is, I want to see if it aligns with yours. What is yours? And I'll let you know if it's the same, if I had the same view.
Absolutely. So, the consumer app that we're going to launch very soon is called the Gnosis app, right? It's an app to interact with all your money. It's an app that has a user experience that is best in class. It reaches what users are already used to when they're interacting with TradFi money, right? While empowering them with the financial agency and access that crypto kind of brings, right? We want to ensure that we give all users the optionality or the ability to self-custody while not losing the benefits of user experience. Now, a core part of what we want to do is we want to go mainstream. We want to hit I want to get 1 million users on the app in a couple of years, right? So if we want to go after 1 million users or say 100 million users, we need to build self-custody in a way that's easy for regular users to use. So we're going to have recovery solutions that aren't super cryptic or aren't super hard for regular users to understand, right? The other part of ownership that we bring to the table is we want to kind of ensure everyone, or like not ensure, but like at least encourage users to hold GNO. And in some sense, what this will allow them to do is collectively also almost vote on major decisions of this money app they're using. Imagine like being a user of a bank and being able to also vote on the major decisions that affect your bank, right? Or like a bank-like company. And what else? Like the other kind of thing that I can think of in terms of ownership is it's actually not so much ownership, but it's more around circles, like that, which I also see as a core differentiator of what we do. Circles on the surface might look like a traditional kind of rewards program, where, hey, you spend some money, you get some points back, right? Under the hood, it's supposed to be a lot more than that. Under the hood, we're trying to create a social graph, an identity-based money system where every user kind of creates their own money based on a simple economic policy of creating 1 circle per hour for the rest of their lives, with all of this kind of demurraging 7% a year, right? There's some interesting aspects, but like, so yeah, this is the other thing that will also be part of this product. So it will have all the usual parts. You'll be able to add money to this account. You'll be able to self-custody or hold this funds on your account by yourself. You'll be able to spend it via card, self-custodially. You'll be able to earn rewards on it. But there's so much more, and it has so much optionality and depth, and for those who are willing to go deeper. Yeah.
Got it. That sounds good. That sounds really good. The other thing follow up I have is you talked about the cypherpunk ideologies. Now, some of my listeners are going to disagree the fact that Ethereum and everything that was created under Ethereum is cypherpunk at all. Is only Bitcoin is, or only Zcash is, or only the proof of work or the original proof. But how are you furthering the cypherpunk ideology so that people think it's dead, but it's not, right? So how are you furthering that ideology, and what should people look for in how you're building and what you're doing to keep in line with that ideology?
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't get into a debate with the cypherpunks, right? Because then you can get into like very deep arguments. I think what stands us apart at Gnosis is we've always thought of creating products the right way. We think first principally, we try and think of why something should exist and what's the best way for it to exist. And that's what drives all of our decisions. That's how we created Safe. That's how we created CowSwap. We figured out MEV is not something that people should suffer through, right? So how do we create an MEV resistant DEX? We figured out that there was no card in the world that you could operate from a self-custodial on-chain kind of wallet. And that's how Gnosis Pay came about, right? And today we see that there is no money app or a neobank-like product in the world which empowers users with financial agency. All of it is custodial. All the banks that you use, you kind of deposit your money to them. It's almost like renting your money or renting your account to them. They take it, they lend it further to other people or companies, and they earn interest on it, and they pass a little bit of that back to you, right? That's not what we want to do. Like, we want to pass all of our profits back to our community, to and that's why we are more rewarding over the long term. So yeah, we're fundamentally trying to think this problem through. We're not trying to just get on this hype train and build a nice neobank-like product and say, oh yeah, we're cool, we're using this blockchain technology. We really want to get through onto why we're doing this. So yeah.
Sounds good to me. So I want to talk about your Visa debit card, right? So why is the launch of your Visa debit card a step forward in bridging TradFi with Web3?
Well, so we launched this card 2 years back. And like I mentioned, I think we are one of the first ones to connect a blockchain account, like a blockchain smart contract wallet, to essentially the Visa payment rails. We built a proprietary kind of payment processor that would, when let's say you like, let's use an example, right? You go to a coffee shop, you spend whatever, like $5 to get coffee, you tap your card. The merchant essentially through Visa rails tries to contact the issuer, like the bank that issued the card, essentially, or the regulated institution that issued this card, telling them that, hey, send me this $5, right? And all of this happens off chain in like private ledgers, right? How do we kind of debit this money from an on-chain kind of ledger or on Gnosis chain? So that was the secret sauce, where we kind of created a communication system between this issuing bank and Visa and this on-chain ledger in a way that does not compromise the custody or like the self-custody that the user has. Until the payment is made, the money is in a self-custodial wallet. And then it kind of gets debited from that account and gets passed on to the issuer or the regulated entity that interacts with Visa. We're also exploring ways to settle these, like to do the settlement of card payments on chain with Visa, right? And that I think could be something really useful. Like what we've done right now is kind of connected these two worlds together, right? Our end goal is to kind of reduce the middleman as much as possible so that we can give all of these extra kind of like the take rates from these middlemen back to the consumer, right? That's kind of the end goal of crypto. Ideally, there should be as few entities as possible when a payment is made from one person to the other, right? Whether it's through card, whether it's peer-to-peer, whatever it is, right? So, I mean, for us, that's kind of the goal, right? So if we can unlock on-chain settlement with, say, a Visa or direct settlement with a merchant, that's kind of the holy grail, right? So yeah, that's something we all want to do.
So I asked because I remember like a few years ago, I took my son to Outback Steakhouse for dinner, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to use the credit card I had I had like $10,000 in my crypto account, like, but I want to use it, and that credit card failed. It didn't work. So like, I don't know why it didn't work. And I was just sitting there. I sat there with him for like 3 hours, waiting for my wife to come home from work and come to pay and get us, right? So if I could just pay directly from my crypto account, that'd be a lot better for me, you know. So that's what I thought of when I read about your Visa card, you know. So,
Yes.
but I wanted to, you said banks, right? I saw something from a bank on Friday. I think it was a Friday. Morgan Stanley. They said, what do they say? They said the Fed is going to lower rates right now, so it's going to lead to the next bear market. And I'm like, I don't subscribe to that. Like, what are your thoughts on like the banks and like manipulating the market and talking about things that might not be in your best interest? How is your approach going to be able to bypass that, that FUD and help develop your community?
I mean, I feel like ultimately what we care about is building like just sound products that kind of that kind of resist the bear and the bull markets, right? I feel like I'm no expert on predicting when the next bear market is going to come. I hear a lot of smart people say that it's going to be soon, but you never know with these things, right? And I'm not someone who's trying to time the market. But what we are at Gnosis and what I myself can definitely guarantee is we kind of try to continue building throughout good and bad times, hoping to bring a product to users that truly impacts their life. At least that's what personally drives me. I want to create something that meaningfully impacts people's lives and changes their lives for the better. And sure, I want to build a business. I don't want to build a not-for-profit, right? I want to do it while we make money, but I want to do it the right way, right? And I feel like Gnosis is probably one of the best places, at least in crypto or blockchain, to do that.
Yeah, the key is how do you build something the right way, and be aligned with a capitalistic approach, and not a not for profit approach.
It's hard. It's not easy. I was just having a chat with the founders the other day, also kind of discussing this. I don't think many companies have been able to do it before. Or at least the companies that have been able to do it haven't achieved the kind of scale, at least I would like, for our products. I think a lot of these companies that are built on ideology, they often don't get like massive adoption or aren't making a lot of money, right? Either ways, right? So yeah, my answer to that is it's going to be a hard problem. I think very few companies have solved it. The way we're thinking about it from product philosophy standpoint is build an app. It also, like, having these ideologies kind of stands at odds oftentimes with the user experience you provide, right? If you want to truly go into extremely kind of cypherpunk ideal, you might have to compromise a lot on the user experience, right? I feel like we're somewhere on the spectrum, right? And we care about things that are most, like, we kind of think deeply about things that we feel could be most important for the users. We don't compromise on those things. And I feel that's our job. Like, we kind of create user experiences that feel like everyday experiences, create an app that's simple enough for approximately 80% of the users or 90% of the users, like give them what they're used to, but also give optionality to the people who care about, I don't know, more privacy, more agency, more ownership over their funds for that remaining 10% if they want to peel down layers of the app. We kind of see ourselves as an app with a lot of depth. It kind of allows for whoever wants to use the app in whichever way they want to kind of see possible, right? So to answer your question very straight, we're embarking on a very hard mission with eyes and ears open. Very few companies are able to kind of have large, large success, like sticking to ideals. I think there are a couple of examples, but not many. So yeah, it's going to be a tough job, but that's what excites us. We've never shied away from hard challenges at Gnosis. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that over the years. I followed Martin on the comment on the on X and saying things like a lot of things he says make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But you hear these narratives. I want to talk about these narratives. Like, there's narratives out there like it's payment season, or no, I'm sorry, it's privacy season. It's and before that it was treasury management season, and before that it was meme season. Stable coins, payments, right? What's the next era of crypto payments? Because that's never been a sexy thing to talk about, right? But what's the next era of payments look like to you, and why should people be excited about
Let me think about this, right? It's a good question. I feel there's so many ways this could go. I think one thing that comes to mind is the borderlessness of crypto. We have all of these crypto ledgers that are borderless, but we don't have enough connections to the local payment rails, right? And we're seeing that mature. We're seeing a lot of it maturing in Europe, in the US, in some places of Latin America, in Brazil, Mexico, a little bit in Argentina, where people can start kind of just send a local bank transfer or send transfers from whatever apps they are used to a specific kind of account in the habits they're used to, and it suddenly gets on-ramped into stablecoins or crypto, right? Without any fees. I think, in my opinion, once we have these local rail connections across different parts of the world, we'll start realizing the true borderlessness of crypto. Right now, it's not. Right now, we don't have those connections. It's still expensive to send money, right? And that's what a lot of TradFi institutions see. And they're like, oh yeah, this is more expensive than what we already offer. But what they don't see is what's going to happen in 2 years, where it's going to be absolutely inverted, right? So I think that's something I'm totally excited about. Like, yeah. So, and the other thing is just ownership, right? Like, in terms of on-chain payments, I've thought through this a lot. Like, I think fundamentally you have a couple of things. One is this borderlessness, so like cross-border payments. We're already seeing a massive rise in like business to business cross-border payments across the world in a few kind of corridors. I expect that to kind of increase to many more corridors. That's number one. Number two is just simply ownership of assets, right? Like people can use the same services that they're used to. They can borrow, they can lend, they can secure their money without having to give up their ownership. And owners always get more, right? You get more profits. You are taken care of a lot more than someone who's renting or someone who's given up their custody, right? So that will also give, that's a shift that like can happen. It's a little bit slightly ahead in the future. It's hard to realize, but I think it can happen. I mean, the other thing I also expect to kind of see more is just local stablecoins to emerge. Right now, pretty much all of the stablecoin market share is USD kind of backed stablecoins, right? More than 99%, I think, from last what I read, right? This is not going to continue. Like, I mean, this is just because the US is always early to innovation. They are just technologically forward, right? I expect local stablecoins to emerge. I expect emerging economies, local economies to put capital controls in some way, shape, or form in these stablecoins. I expect some of the things that is already kind of live in the TradFi world to start kind of happening on the on-chain world once these newer countries or economies kind of start waking up to this idea. So I think that's also going to change. A lot of people and a lot of companies are right now using this regulatory arbitrage to allow people to have global access to dollars. I think that's going to reduce. And I think that's kind of a hot take. I don't think that's what people think.
Yeah. So I can see it. I can see that. Like in the next 2 years, like, it might have to like, what will cause that shift you're talking about for 2 years from now? Like, is just the continued development, or is there something kind of switch that's going to be like an inflection point?
I think we need a few like killer apps that go mainstream. We don't have those yet. Most of the killer crypto apps are generally centralized, and they're not actual crypto, like actual blockchains and why blockchain was started, and kind of realizing those ideals. Like think of all the centralized exchanges like Binance, Coinbase. They're not like true crypto. Like they are dealing and interacting, allowing users to interact with crypto, but they don't build on the ideals of why it was started in the first place, right? So I think we need one of like those kind of apps to go mainstream for people to start talking about it to each other and realizing to this new paradigm shift in some sense. And the second thing is just regulators also waking up to it. Now that the US has woken up, we have a friendly administration. We see Europe also quite friendly with the MiCA regulation coming in, etc. Then we start seeing other kind of the domino effect starting in all of these other countries, right? The regulators start taking note about it, and then that's where the inflection point kind of happens.
Got it. I think there's an interesting dichotomy with what you said. You said the U.S. is first to innovation, but the regulators are finally waking up. This means the U.S. is last to regulation, right? So if you have a country that's going to innovate and regulate, is that going to put them in a position that they have a competitive advantage against everybody else?
I feel like US is not the last to regulate, in my opinion. The fact that Americans think that just tells me how much they're used to innovation in some sense, and how much they want to be like at the forefront of any new business kind of technology in general, right? I think most countries in the world know nothing about crypto. Like I would say Europe, yes, the regulation there was earlier than say America. But I personally also feel, like most countries in the world, especially outside the developed world, have done nothing about this, right? So I would say about 75% of the world has no regulation on this. So US is far, far ahead in those kind of terms. And I mean, while it wasn't, I mean, it's not fully regulated either, like, but in general, a lot of on-chain activity is driven by America, and so it is still very much at the forefront, I would say.
Got it. Well, Let's keep that. I'm in the U.S., so I'm gonna hope that continues to be the case.
Yeah.
You know, so awesome. So I had to tell you, um, the other thing I thought of when you were answering was, I don't talk much about price on my show, like as a speculative activity, right? But the price of Gnosis it used to mirror that of Ethereum, and somewhere along that line, it broke, right? That going the way Ethereum moves is broke, and I've seen the prices that are on the useful blockchains have reduced while the usage has increased dramatically. So that broke too. So what do you see as, that will catch up to each other and be in line again? Um, where do you see like the price versus utility, or are they completely separate now?
Um, I wouldn't say completely separate, but I do feel like attention is everything. Price follows attention. Necessarily not. I think utility is, yeah, price lacks utility for sure. Yeah, like that's my kind of take. Generally, at least, price follows attention, and I feel you'll see a lot more. Um, you'll see a lot more talk about Gnosis if I'm successful, if we are successful in building something meaningful and something that can go mainstream, right? Um, Although what I can say is if we are providing utility over a consistent basis, like, I mean, the price is going to kind of come to terms with where it should be in some sense. So if we consistently build something of value, it will happen. I mean, it's bound to happen. If you're focused on something more short term, then attention and hype is what matters. But that's not something that we're interested in. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for that answer. It's probably one of the most intelligent answers I heard. So I appreciate it. I love this. I love talking to you, Anna. Thank you very much for your time today. And I have one last question. It's how can
Yes.
people find out more information about you, about Gnosis, about Gnosis Pay, what you're doing? How can they do that?
A lot of what we're doing right now is under wraps, but very soon you'll be able to see a completely rebranded website. Gnosis.io, www.gnosis.io is where it will be the home of everything that we're doing. So I urge you to kind of go there now. Yeah, check out the app, the Gnosis app. It's going to be under like a closed beta. But if you reach out to one of us, we can sure to give you access, and especially the viewers of your podcast for sure. You can also reach out to me on LinkedIn. My name is Shah, and also on Twitter. It shouldn't be too hard to find me.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you, Jamil. It was awesome speaking.